When Aaron and Melissa left Chicago, they told their friends they needed a slower life. Fresh air, open space, and a chance to reconnect away from the endless noise of the city. That wasn't a lie, but it also wasn't the full truth. The real reason they left was the job offer. Aaron had been hired as a remote field coordinator for an agricultural research company based in Manitoba. The position came with a house, rent-free, rustic and full of character, according to the cheerful woman on the phone. They imagined something cozy, maybe a century-old prairie farmhouse with a wraparound porch, and the kind of charm you only see on postcards. The reality was harsher. The house sat miles from anything resembling civilization, surrounded by wind-bent fields that stretched to a horizon so empty it made Melissa uneasy. The nearest town was 40 minutes away. Every direction held nothing but rolling brown grass and the occasional sickly-looking tree, leaning like it wanted to die already. Still, they tried to be optimistic. The job paid well. They needed this fresh start. But from the first night, something was wrong with the basement. The basement door was an old slab of wood swollen from years of humidity. It hung crooked in its frame, the paint cracking like old bone. When they first arrived, their real estate contact gave them one warning. You'll hear noises from the basement sometimes. Old houses shift, you know, rodents too. Just don't worry. She said it too quickly. She didn't make eye contact, and she practically jogged back to her car after handing them the keys. That night, as they unpacked dishes in the kitchen, they heard it. A slow, heavy thud from beneath the floorboards, almost like a footstep. Then another, and another. Aaron grabbed a flashlight and tried to open the basement door. The swollen wood resisted, vibrating slightly under his hand, as though something on the other side had braced against it. When the door finally jerked open, a cold, damp draft rolled out, smelling like wet stone and something else. Something metallic. The staircase leading down looked half-rotten, and the darkness swallowed the flashlight beam long before it reached the bottom. Probably a raccoon, Aaron said, though his voice wavered. Or a badger. Melissa didn't correct him. She just shut the door. 5 minutes later, they heard a soft click. The door had swung back open. Over the first week, the house revealed a personality, and it wasn't friendly. Every night after 1 a.m., the basement began to make sounds like something was dragging long. Blunt claws across the concrete floor, slow scraping pulls, then a pause, then another drag, always a little closer to the stairs. Aaron checked the basement daily, determined not to be the city guy scared of country sounds. But aside from cobwebs, old shelves, and a rusted water heater, the basement remained empty. No animals, no tracks, no entry points. Just cold air pressing against his skin like a warning. Melissa hated it there. She hated the endless fields outside, the silence that felt too thick, the wind that sometimes whispered through the siding like someone breathing against the wall. But most of all, she hated the basement door, because it kept opening. Sometimes at night, sometimes while they were eating, sometimes seconds after they closed it. Always silently, always waiting. One morning, Aaron came upstairs from checking the basement and found Melissa standing in the kitchen, pale as snow. "Did you spill something?" she whispered. He followed her gaze to the floor. Across the kitchen linoleum were wet footprints. Bare, human-like, but too long, stretched in a way that made his stomach twist. Water droplets trailed from the basement door, forming a path that meandered halfway across the room, then stopped abruptly, as if whatever made them had simply lifted off the ground. Both of them looked towards the basement door. It was open, just a crack, just enough. Aaron closed it without a word. They didn't speak about moving it. They didn't speak about fear. But both of them slept with the bedroom light on at night. The scraping began earlier than usual. 2 weeks in, the noises changed. While Aaron worked late one evening, Melissa heard something drifting up from the vents. Soft at first, then clearer. A voice. No, not one. Several. Low, whispering tones like people trying not to be overheard. She froze in the hallway listening. Her skin prickled, her pulse hammered, her breath caught in her throat. They were saying something, repeating it, over and over, a wet, throaty chant. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it behind. She backed away trembling. When Aaron came home, he found her sitting on the bathroom floor, shaking so hard she could barely speak. When he finally coaxed the story out of her, he tried to reassure her. Maybe it was the plumbing. Maybe it was the wind. But Melissa interrupted him with a whisper. Aaron, they weren't telling us to leave. They were telling someone else. On the 15th day, Aaron woke up before dawn to find the bedroom window open. Frosty air poured in, sending white vapors across the bed. Melissa was standing outside in her pajamas, barefoot, facing the fields. He sprinted to her. Her skin was icy, her eyes unfocused. What are you doing? He asked, gripping her shoulders. She blinked slowly, looked at him as though trying to remember who he was. I heard a child, she said softly, calling for me from the fields. There were no footprints leading to where she stood, only her own tracks, where she'd walked out. But behind her, farther into the fields, the frost was disturbed, pressed down, dragged, as though something heavy had been pulled through the grass toward the tree line. And those same long, stretched footprints they'd seen in the kitchen slowly vanished into the distance. That night, as a snowstorm rolled across the plains, Melissa begged Aaron, "Please, we need to go, tonight. I don't care where." But Aaron wanted proof. He wanted answers. He wanted to know he wasn't abandoning his new job over nothing. At 2:13 a.m., as the wind screamed against the house, the basement door opened, slowly, silently. A smell crept up. Wet soil, old stone, and something sweetly rotten. Melissa clutched Aaron's arm. "Don't go down there." But he already had the flashlight in his hand. He descended the stairs. Each step felt colder than the last. The air grew denser, thicker, like the basement wasn't just a room, but a throat swallowing him. Halfway down, his flashlight flickered, then died. The scraping began. Close. So close, it shook the wood beneath his feet. Then something spoke, right next to his ear. A voice like dirt sliding over bone. "You brought it with you, Aaron." He staggered back, tripped, and scrambled up the stairs. Behind him, something began running. too fast, too heavy, slamming against the steps like a human shape that didn't know how to move like a human. The basement door slammed behind him with such force the entire house shook. But it didn't stay shut. A whisper seeped through the crack. Not done. They packed the car in 15 frantic minutes. The snow was coming down in thick white sheets, making the world outside look like the inside of a shaking globe. When Aaron tried to start the car, the engine stuttered, then died. Again. Melissa grabbed his arm, pointing at the side mirror. Something stood behind the car. Tall, lurking just beyond the tunnel of falling snow. Long limbs, pale skin that seemed to glow faintly in the storm's darkness, and a face that wasn't a face, just a stretched, wet smear where features should have been. It leaned forward, bending in ways no bone should bend, watching. Aaron didn't try the engine again. They ran back inside, slammed the front door, waited for morning. They didn't sleep. At sunrise, the creature was gone, but the basement door was open. Wide open. They planned to leave as soon as the plow came through. Melissa paced the living room, refusing to look toward the kitchen where the basement door gaped like a mouth. Aaron checked outside every few minutes. The road remained untouched, the world still buried. By late afternoon, Melissa realized something terrifying. She hadn't heard anything from the basement all day. No scraping, no thuds, no whispers, nothing. The silence was worse. When night fell, Aaron insisted they barricade the basement door. He nailed it shut with shaking hands, pushed the kitchen table in front of it, stacked chairs, anything to put weight between them and whatever lived below. For the first time, they felt almost safe. At midnight, the whispering began through the vents, but this time, it wasn't chanting. This time, it was laughing. The laughter grew louder, closer. Then the nails on the basement door began to squeal. Not from being pulled, but from being pushed outward. Wood strained, chairs trembled. The table began to slide. Aaron grabbed Melissa and ran for the bedroom, slamming the door and pushing the dresser against it. He dialed emergency services, but the call wouldn't connect. Just static. And beneath the static, breathing. They hid in the corner of the room, Melissa crying quietly, Aaron clutching her hand like it was the only thing keeping him human. Then, the hallway floorboards groaned. Something huge moved across them. Slow footsteps, dragging, one after another. The creature stopped outside their bedroom door. Silence. For several long, horrible seconds. Then a voice. Melissa's voice. Whispered from the hallway. Aaron, open the door. It's just me. But Melissa was still beside him, trembling. The voice repeated, closer, warped, learning. Aaron, open the door. The doorknob turned. The dresser slid an inch. Then another. Melissa buried her face against him. Don't look at it, she begged. but Aaron couldn't help it. As the door cracked open, he glanced. Just once. And that was enough. His scream froze halfway up his throat. The last thing Melissa felt was his grip on her hand slacken. Then the lights went out. 3 days later, the company's regional manager arrived to check why Aaron hadn't reported in. He found the house silent, front door ajar, bedroom empty, snow blown across the floor in strange, swirling patterns. Down in the basement, he found the flashlight Aaron had dropped on the stairs, still warm, and on the concrete floor, pressed deep into the dust, were 2 sets of footprints, one pair human, the other long, stretched, and wet. The human footprints ended halfway up the stairs. The other pair did not. They led out of the basement, into the house, through every room, out the front door, and deep into the prairie fields, where the snow had melted in a perfect trail, as though something impossibly cold had passed through.